Welcome back to a brand new episode of Mastering Programming. In today's episode, I'll show you how you can create a SwiftUI application that works with NFC tags just like this. Now, as you can see, I have a text field and a button, and if I just complete my URL over here to say .com.au and click on Write to Tag, bring the NFC tag close to my phone, it will straight away detect it and it will actually write to this NFC tag using SwiftUI. And as you can see, if I bring my phone again close, it straight away detects it, shows a notification, and shows you everything. Now, just a heads up, you can actually buy the source code for this application on my website right now. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Welcome back, guys. Now, obviously, the first thing we always do is start working on our UI, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. So we're going to go ahead and remove the text that's already there, and we're going to be adding a VStack. So I'm simply going to be doing that, and in the VStack, we're going to be having a text field to enter the URL, and then a button. So let's start by actually adding the text field, and the easiest way to do this is just go ahead and go to the plus button, and go to this icon over here, type in text field, and the text field should appear at the very bottom. You can obviously also memorize this and type it up. Now over here, we're going to change the placeholder here and enter something like enter URL. And for the text, let's actually go ahead and create one. So I'm going to go over here and I'm simply going to say add state bar URL. And I'm going to go ahead and put it as an empty string. I also put a T there just to make it separate. I'm going to put a $, and then I'm going to say URLT. And if you're looking into NFC capabilities in SwiftUI, I'm assuming you already know how to create basic UI, so I'm not going to focus too much on how to do that. And basically after that, we're going to be adding a button. And this is how I usually like creating my buttons, but you can create it in a different way as well, and it will still work, obviously. So out of here, we're going to have text in the button that will simply say scan tag, or we can say write to tag. Perfect. And inside of here, we're going to be calling an action that we still did not do. So as you can see, very basic UI, nothing too detailed. And we're also going to be adding a padding. The next thing we're going to be doing is actually do some sort of paperwork to allow us to work with NFCs. So we're going to go ahead and click on the name of your project over here. You're going to go to signing in capabilities. And in order to do this, you actually need to make sure that you have a paid Apple developer account. And select it here, part of your teams. And after that, we're going to add the capabilities of NFCs. So we're going to go ahead and click on capability. And I'm simply going to type in near field communication and click on it. And my iMac is just lagged. And there we go. And as you can see, it's just going to do some things, checks if your account basically can handle it. And it can, so we have it right here. Now we're also going to be going to the info.plist. And we're going to be adding a privacy list, a privacy tag. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this plus icon. And I'm going to type in privacy. And then a dash, and then NFC scan user description. And basically here, we're just going to be telling the user that's using our app why we need to access their NFC capability. Just for this, I'm just going to say we need to access NFC functionality. If you are actually planning on publishing this app to the App Store, make sure you actually put a valid reason here. Other your app is just not going to be approved. So then we can go to content view. And what I'm going to be doing, the first thing is we're going to be importing CoreNFC. So I'm going to type import CoreNFC. Now I'm going to be creating a class that will handle all our NFC functionality. And please understand, you can actually do this in another file or folder, but I'm just going to put it here in the same file just to make things simple. So basically what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be creating another class, and I'm going to say class NFC Reader. That's what I'm going to call my class. Out of here, we're going to be needing it to pass NFC object. We're also going to be passing observable object. Finally, NFC NDEF reader session delegate, like this. Open and close the bracket to actually create a class, and now we have our class. So it's going to ask you to fill in some stuff, and we can actually use them just like that, and that will get rid of the errors. And we're going to do obviously a lot more work after that point. And the first thing we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be creating a variable called var the actual data. And this is basically where we're going to be passing that URL that will be written. After that, we're also going to be creating a var NFC session. Now, I call it NFC session, but you can call it anything else. But it's basically just an NFC NF reader session, question mark. And finally, we can actually start doing something. So I'm going to be creating our function, which we will call from our view directly by clicking on the button. And that function will handle everything related to this class, such as actually starting the NFC session. So I'm going to say func, and I'm going to call it scan. It's going to be having a parameter, the actual data. Remember, this time it's just with a small d, and string. So every time we call this function, we actually need to provide the string that we're going to be using. Perfect, which is actually going to be that one. Anyways, we can go ahead and start by saying the actual data is equal to the actual data. After that, we're going to say NFC session is equal to NFC NF reader session, open a bracket, and I'm going to select the only one there. For delegate, we're going to be saying self. For queue, we're actually going to be saying no. Invalidate after first read, I'm going to say true. Here we go. And we can probably minimize some things here. There we go. After that, we're going to be saying NFC session question mark dot alert message. And you actually don't have to do this, but this allows us to customize the message that appears when someone clicks on the button. So when the NFC session starts, and I'll basically say hold your iPhone near an NFC card. After that, finally, we can say NFC session question mark dot begin. And this will actually start our NFC session for the app. Okay, so now we're going to be doing some things with these two functions here. And the first thing I'm going to be doing with the first one is actually just remove code and maybe just zip this up. For this one, what we are going to do is also the same thing. And I'm just going to do this just to make things a little bit cleaner. So after that, we're going to be creating our big function that will allow us to basically write to the NFC tags. And again, this tutorial is just focused on how we're going to be using NFC functionality in SwiftUI. So I'm assuming you've seen any of my other videos. I'll link that in the description as well, or there should be something popping up now showing you exactly where to go. But let's go ahead and write it as well. So I'm simply going to say func reader session, and we're going to select the second one. Inside of here, we're going to be doing a lot of things. So first, we're going to say we're going to say str is equal to string equal to the actual data. So now we're saying that this string is going to be equal to the actual data that we're going to first create here and then update over there once the function is being called. And now we're going to say if tags.count is greater than 1. So if we detect more than one tag, like more than one NFC tag, what we're going to do is we're going to pause the session because we can't actually read more than one tag, and we're going to let the user know that we've detected more than one tag. So basically we're going to say let retry interval is equal to dispatch time interval dot milliseconds. Inside of here, I'm just going to go ahead and put 500. After that, we're going to say session dot alert message. So now we're giving another alert message, and this time we're going to say more than one tag detected. Please try again. You can obviously customize this. It doesn't have to be exactly what I put. After that, we're going to be saying dispatch dot global dispatch queue dot global, and then we're going to say async after. Here I'm going to say deadline And I definitely spelled something wrong. Sync after. Let's just copy this one. I keep getting it wrong. So it will be exactly like this. There we go. Perfect. And after that, we're going to simply return. After that, what we're going to be doing is now we're going to check if we do actually connect to the tag. So if there's one tag, what we're going to be doing is let tag is equal to tags.first. There we go. Enforce it. And then we're going to say session.connect to, well, we want to connect to the tag that we just created at the top. And for completion handler, what we're going to be saying is this. And this can get a little bit confusing, I'll be honest, so make sure you're writing it exactly the same. We're going to be writing error and then error, just like this, with a question mark. Here we're going to say in, and now we're going to say, all right, so after we do connect or try to connect, if nil, so if we do have an error, then what we're going to say is session.alert message, and we're going to say unable to connect to tag. And basically right now we are handling errors, so we're handling if something goes wrong. If we can't connect to the tag, it's not necessary, but it's good to include. And then we're going to say session.invalidate. So now we're actually stopping the session, and then we're going to say return. Perfect. So after that, what we're going to be doing, we're going to say tag.query and the status, and we can actually use that straight away. And we're going to open a bracket. We're going to handle it exactly the same way. We're going to be saying ndef status, ndef status equal to NFC ndef status. We're going to say capacity is int. We're going to say error is equal to error. That one. Like this. After that, and you can probably see a pattern here. And after that, we're going to say in, and I'm going to say guard. So now we're going to put a guard statement, error. Again, it's very important to tackle your errors, because with NFC tags, once you read it and something goes wrong, it's just going to completely cripple everything else. So then we're going to be saying session.alert message. And we can probably just actually copy exactly how it is right now from the top one over here. Perfect. So now we're going to let the user know that we can't actually connect to the tag, and then we're going to stop our session. So after that, we're going to be using a switch statement. And the reason for the switch statement is actually because we can, once we detect the tag, there could be other things. So we could find the tag that's actually faulty, or we could find the tag that's not supported, or something like that. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Well, that's exactly why we're going to be using a switch statement. So we're going to say switch ndef status. So what is the ndef status? Well, if the case is not supported, then what we're going to be doing is, again, we're going to just copy this, and I am going to paste it. Perfect. So now we're going to create another case. I'm going to say read only. So if we're trying to write to it, but the tag is actually set on read only, we're going to paste this. And again, you can just change this to match the correct one. After that, we're going to have another case, and it's going to be case.read write. So now if it is actually a read and write tag, so if we can write to it, that's fine, you go ahead and write to it. So what I'm going to say is tag.write ndef. There we go. And over here, we're going to say .init. And this gets really confusing to do. So what we are going to be doing is actually coming over here. Let me just make sure I'm zoomed in. We're going to go to init, and we're going to say records. And inside of here, we're going to be putting an NFC payload. So I'm going to be opening and closing a boxy bracket, and then I'm going to say NFC ndef payload dot well known type URI payload. Inside of here, we're going to be saying string, and we're finally going to be passing the str over at the top over here. So I'm going to say str, and I'm confident that there's going to be an error somewhere, and that's because we need to put an exclamation mark. Perfect. I even thought that will not work well. Now we just need to handle some errors, and we're actually nearly there. So I'm going to be putting a bracket like this. Inside of here, I'm going to be open another bracket. I'll say error, and then I'll say error, oops, like this, and a question mark. After that, I'm going to be saying in. Let's go ahead and start writing on the second line. So now at this stage, we've actually written to the tag, but let's just make sure that we handle errors, because it's very important to handle our errors. So we're going to say if nil is equal to error, I'm going to say is session dot alert message, and I will say write ndef message failed. Whew. If it is successful, what I'm going to say is session dot alert message equal to you have successfully activated your tag. Perfect. Nice. And then regardless if it's a success or a fail, we're going to session.invalidate to stop the session. Beautiful. So now we've actually finished writing this, and let's see what the issue here. Switch covers. Okay, let's just add an unknown. Okay, so if something else happens, we're just going to say alert message, and I'll simply type in unknown alert or unknown error, and again session dot invalidate. Beautiful. So now we've actually written our function that handles everything that goes right and goes wrong. In fact, we've written everything else. So let's actually get started. So now we have our URL here. We have a button that allows us to call our NFC function, but we still did not create this. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say at state var writer, and I will say equal to NFC reader with 2 brackets. Over here for button, I'm simply going to say writer dot scan. For the actual data, I'm going to be passing URLT, which is what the user is going to be passing. And that should be it. That honestly should be it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect my iPhone, and then I'm going to run this application on my phone, and I'll show you basically what will happen. Let's do it. Alright, so I am back and I have my app running here, and I also have my NFC tag. Now, this is actually running from a real iPhone, and that's the only way you can actually test the NFC capabilities. And basically what I'm going to be doing, by the way, you can buy this NFC tag from my website for your pets, so you can put your information on it and track your pets down. You can buy this. Anyways, I'll be putting my website over here, so https://www, too much w's, tapaway.com.au. And if I click right to tag and simply bring my iPhone close to the NFC tag, as you can see, it straight away detects it, it connects to it and everything. And if I go back to my phone and bring the tag close to it, as you can see, it does detect the website, it does detect the link, and it takes you to my website straight away. And you can do this with any URL right now. Here you have it, it works, and it works perfectly. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, you can purchase an NFC tag from my website. You can also purchase this source code from my website right now. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it and have a good day.